What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to day number 23 of Autodesk Fusion. Now, today's thing we're going to do is making a globe. Now, under here, these construct commands, we went through offset plane, we've done tangential plane, now we're going to do plane at an angle. So how to do that better than to recreate a globe which has an axis tilt of 23.5 degrees. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just create a new sketch here, and I'm just going to do my globe. Now, I know you could just go ahead and have Fusion make a cylinder for you, but I tend not to use commands that simplify things too much to where the student actually isn't learning. Because once you start making those trickier commands or trickier objects, you can't just sphere it out, you can't just box it out, you can't just coil it out. So I'm going to show the long way. So I'm going to make that circle profile, and then I'm going to revolve this around this axis. Then click OK. All right, now I got my globe. We can go ahead and start with our base. Now what I'm going to do is create a sketch, and I am going to create offset plane. So let's go ahead and offset this plane to make our base. And that way we can just help keep orientation of where things are at. And that way when this thing starts rotating, we can understand the orientation just a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and slice those graphics. That way that sphere isn't in my way. And let's make a nice circular base. Finish sketch. And go ahead and extrude this out just a little bit. I found out when I was trying to make this globe earlier, trying to use, and it was just really orienting of not figuring out which way I was going to call downwards on that globe. So by doing this, we can overall have a good idea of what's going on. Now I'm going to construct and plane at an angle. And so what you notice here, it's going to ask for a line that we want to rotate about. And I'm going to pick one of the two lines. You can click on the X or the Y, not necessarily the Z. Because we want to rotate like so. Alright, now if we're rotating this around this plane, we want to tilt 23 degrees from the Y. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to make Fusion be a calculator for me. I'm going to do 90 minus 23.5, and that automatically just creates a nice little tilt from that angle, and then we can now create our sketch on the middle of the sphere at that 23 degrees, 23.5 degrees. So see what I mean by having that bottom piece? It helps us see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and click Slice Graphics. That way I am going to be somewhere in the middle of, let's just go ahead and draw a line right down the middle of our sphere so far. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, and let's go ahead and give this offset this line. That way I can go ahead and just make my rod that's going to go all the way through it. Go ahead and finish this out. Now the reason I didn't offset is because I'm going to revolve this profile, and by offsetting it, it's going to make a revolve nice and easy. You don't have to use revolve. You can kind of use any particular geometry that you'd want, but I'm going to go ahead and make my half of my axis rotate. There we go. And then up here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a circle that'll act as the knob, and use the line command, finish this out, trim, and there we go. Alright, now depending on how you do this, sometimes when you using this revolve feature, depending on how you put your geometry in there, sometimes it's going to create problems for you. And so what we're going to do is see if this worked totally okay for me so far. So we're going to revolve. Ooh, that whole geometry got selected. I like that. Rotate around that axis, and then click on join. So now what I've got here is I've got my axis at my tilt. Everything looks nice and wonderful. Now what we're going to do is go back to my center profiles, and we're going to create that semicircle arc that matches up with my my rod going through it. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw 2 circles, and let's just do a line that is going to connect all the way through. There we go. And then just a line that's going to connect all the way through. Now here's what Fusion done for me is it's predictive. It loves to predict thinking what you're going to do. Sometimes that's helpful. So what it did is made sure this line lined up with that line. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim that. Make sure this is still shaded blue. That way I can still extrude that profile. So we're going to click on that profile. I'm going to do a symmetric extrusion, and let's make this 1 millimeter. Click on join, and there we go. So we have, looks like it didn't go quite through all the way, so I'm going to go back and fix this. Let's make that distance to be a little bit longer. Let's do 2 millimeters, and then let's do 3. I think 3 might be the golden ticket out. That looks all right. Now I'm just tinkering around with some of these features right now. That looks okay. Gonna click OK, then come on back on home, and we're looking all right so far. Now what I want to do is go ahead and create the rest of that base. So I'm going to build from the top down. So the first thing I need to do is to do a tangent plane, all right, to the bottom of that. That way it'll be connecting. So what I'm going to do is do tangent plane, hit OK, create sketch on that plane, slice graphics, and go ahead and we're just going to do a stem that is going to go all the way through. And let's extrude this out. So I'm going to go ahead and extrude this out. Going to make that a join. And let's go ahead and make it symmetric because I know it's not going all the way through. No, let's say 2 sides, asymmetric. It's not going all the way into. There we go. Wonderful. Alrighty. Now, let's add some flair to the bottom of that. So let's go ahead and create a new sketch. I'm going to do, let's go ahead and just add some small flair to that bottom. Do an offset from plane. Looking okay. Create a new sketch on that plane. I don't know if I clicked that right plane. Let's try that again. Create a new sketch on that plane. Slice graphics, hit circle, and hit finish sketch. So now what I'm going to do is let's make a loft between this one and that one. Do a join. Click OK. Alright, and for this last little bit, let's make a nice little bowl revolve all the way around. So what I'm going to do is create a new sketch. And I'm going to go back to my origin planes. So we've created everything so far where the center of my part is the globe. So this allows me to go back and orient things real easy. So I'm going to click on slice. I'm going to make a nice bowl feature on the bottom of this. Let's go ahead and draw a line. I'm going to connect that part of the circle. That way when I rotate it around, everything looks nice and good. Go ahead and click trim, finish sketch. We're going to revolve this last piece around my center axis. Oh, and for some reason we don't like that. So I'm going to go back to my center, and there we go. Wonderful. We've made a globe so far with a 23.5 degree tilt. However, we can go further than this. Let's make the whole thing out of bronze. I'm going to highlight everything, hit appearance. And so under, I just hit the A key for appearance. It's a shortcut. And so bronze, make the whole thing bronze. But what about the world? What we're going to do is we're going to do a decal. Now I downloaded a picture of the just the world from the internet. Now the problem is that I'm taking a 2D picture and wrapping around a 3D plane. So you'd have to have an accurate picture for you to stretch. That way it looks like the world when I start to blow this image up. And you notice it's bleeding over onto my other faces. So I'm going to click Unchain on those faces. And we're going to keep stretching until it goes all the way around or until you're happy with it. Then click OK. Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be it for this video. We've now did a lot of interesting features in here dealing with planes, offset planes, planes at an angle, and I think making this globe is good practice on looking at those. On top of that, we made our origin files from the very center of our globe. Let me zoom out so you can see that a little bit easier. And so that's just good part geometry building. That way, in case I'm trying to build a part and I've built it where the center of my part is somewhere in that 0, 0, 0, I can go back and reference those when I'm doing some new sketches. Alrighty guys, that'll be it for this video, and I will see you on the next one.